Greetings. A week or so ago I made a video story about my adventures down at Mount St. Helens, talking about the eruption and Bigfoot and a few other things. Well, it's got to be a real popular video, so I thought I would add to it. This time we're going to visit Ape Cave, and we're also going to visit the, I think they call it the lavacast forest. I would like to say that, you know, my videos are a little bit long. They're designed for essentially storytelling. So if you're a person with a attention deficit disorder, and you like to click through things really fast, yeah, my videos aren't for you. I'm telling stories. The reason why I'm using video to tell my stories is that I wanted to write a book, but unfortunately I'm losing a lot of my ability to read and write, use my hands. You know, I put a note or something on, you know, without spell check and grammar check, I can't even hardly write a paragraph anymore. Then you add vision problems and hearing loss and whatever. So that's why I'm telling these stories using this method here on YouTube. Anybody can watch them, anybody can listen to them. But you know, if you don't like them, please don't watch. So let's get on to our story, and let's head to Mount St. Helens in, what was it, about 1972 or 73. During the years of, well, mid-1960s through the early 1970s probably. A little bit later I spent most of my time on the east and north side of Mount St. Helens. So I didn't get around to the other sides around Lewis River or Kalama area. But occasionally I did, and when I did, we always visited Ape Cave. Now I've been there twice, maybe 3 times now. But back then, you remember that the population in the United States was about 165, 75 million. About half what it is now. So we didn't have so many restrictions as you have today. All the Forest Service roads were open. The private roads for the logging companies were open on the weekends for people to travel. Everything was maintained. There was hardly any gates. There were a few gates, maybe at Weyerhaeuser and St. Regis. Usually areas they were working or something, but we had a lot of freedom, especially with the Forest Service. And so going to Ape Cave and other areas was pretty easy back then. I understand that both Ape Cave and the lavacast areas are now highly restricted. When I say restricted, I'm talking about they've got boardwalks to walk on. You can't go across trails. Maybe open certain days, maybe not open other days. Some cases you have to have a permit. So things have changed a lot if you want to visit those areas today. When you first arrive at Ape Cave, what you see is a hole in the ground, at least back then. I imagine they probably have a staircase made now. Before we just went down in ladders. Like I said, there was nobody there. There was no Forest Service people. There were no restrictions. You just went there, went down the ladder, entered the cave. Once you drop down into the hole in the ground there, you were welcome to the cave entrance. At which time, you know, people would charge up their Coleman lanterns. Back in the early mid-60s and early 70s, there were actually people going in there with carbide lights, you know, hats that miners use. But it was a good place to get ready to fire up your lantern. We always took a couple of Coleman lanterns and a few, I call them flashlights, people call them torches. One of the people I took into the cave one day was my old fishing partner, Don Frazier. Here he is take a look at that camera with the old flash setup, old Coleman lanterns. He was 75 years old at the time, just about the same age as I am now. But anyway, I was only in my early 20s. I took him in there. He really enjoyed the place. Look how high those pants are getting. I'm getting to be about the same way. Pretty soon my pants are going to be up under around my armpits. Don was always smoking a pipe. Here he is with his lantern and his flashlight. We're just beginning to go down into the tunnel. The lava tube is was kind of interesting. The floor was, of course, the walls were lava, and you could see the marks on the sides of the walls where the different levels of lava were when they were traveling through the tube. I looked up real quick and just to check my memory, and there's actually two tunnels in the lava tunnel. There's a three-quarter mile lower tunnel, which we went down, and then there's a 1.5 mile upper tunnel, which actually comes out somewhere. We didn't do the whole length, of course. Ape Cave is the third largest lava tube in the United States. The temperature down there was we all have our hats and coats on. Our temperature is about 42 degrees. There's not a whole lot of wildlife in these tunnels, at least back then. There were bats and little spiders or something. I didn't see any bats when I was there. It was kind of like walking down a railroad tunnel, and it slightly dropped elevation as it went. And the floor of the tunnel was kind of a sandy, sedimentary stuff. So I think at times when there's a lot of rain or something, it would wash stuff down into that tunnel. So the walls were, lava, rough lava. Even looked like it had dried, melted when it was dripping. It was kind of really neat looking stuff. But the floor was rather flat and smooth. Don, he always smoked. Him and I actually made a trip to New Zealand together on a Pan Am aircraft in 1973, I think. And back then on the airplanes in Pan Am, you could smoke. I never did, but I thought it was kind of neat. Anyway, we spent 30 days together or more down in New Zealand. I got some good stories about that I got to tell later. This is what the sides of the lava tunnel looked like at Ape Cave. You could see it. You could see where it had conglomerated in little globs of lava and melted and actually started to drip from the walls and the ceilings. One time we went in by ourselves, but the other two times there were other people there on the same day. We may have been there on a weekend or something, and people are coming in and out of the tunnel with their flashlights. Here's another picture of the sides and walls, the ceilings of the tunnel. Actually, it was very colorful in there. If you got a flash of it or got your light just right, you could see the different greens and reds and oranges and yellow colors in the lava. Because it was underground, there was no erosion, there was no rain, and there was no sun to bleach out the rocks, and there was no mosses or lichen or anything. So geologically, it was really kind of pretty. Here's Don looking at the ceiling of the lava tube. There were like big rocks or something in the ceiling. I don't know if they were coming down through the lava and got stuck or what they did, but you could see on the sides of the lava tube the different levels of lava that had gone through at one time or another. We were fascinated by this big boulder that was stuck up there, but you could see the different levels of lava. Looks like it traveled this lower part for quite some time, but at one time it had been more full. And somehow a big old chunk of rock or lava got stuck in there, and there it is. Old Don, he was pretty happy about going in there. He had never been in something like this before. He was always up for an adventure. And another view of that big boulder up there. Stories these rocks could tell. Around Ape Cave, if you saw cutouts of streams, where streams had cut out through the area, and different road cuts, you would see the different layers of pumice from the different eruptions from Mount St. Helens that happened, I don't know, 100,000 years ago. Who knows how long ago it was. But you could see the different layers of pumice. And what was interesting about this one, I think I showed it in the last video, also this picture, is that you see the dark area in the middle is actually forest flora and trees and debris. So at one time we had a big eruption of Mount St. Helens, and then it went dormant for a while, and trees came back, and then it erupted again. And this is from the old eruptions. Now remember, this is in about 1972, 73. So it's it's good almost 10 years before Mount St. Helens erupted again, 1980. In the same area, roughly, as Ape Cave, up another Forest Service road, I can't remember the name of it, is the lavacast area where lava poured out across the top of the ground and covered trees and left the cast of the living tree. So there's lots of little places like this where you could see where a tree had been at one time and had been buried by the fresh lava. Here's another one here. If you look closely, I got another picture, but if you look closely on the right-hand side of the picture, you can see the outline of the bark of the tree that was left in the lava when the lava covered it. Here's a close-up of the bark of the tree. Almost looks like it's platelets, like it's a spruce tree, maybe. Not sure. I'm sure some geologists would know. This is such a fascinating area, if you're into volcanism or whatever, with the cave and with the lava flows and the casts like this. It's really a fascinating place to visit. Here's where a tree was. It was still standing. It didn't get knocked over by the lava. And like I said, you could look down in it. You could see what was really interesting is you could look down down deep in it, and you could see the tree roots, the holes where the tree roots had been. So I guess when the lava covered all this area, it just burned the trees out and burned out the tree roots underground and left a cast, kind of like Pompeii. Yeah. I left Washington State about 1985, or I think it was middle of 1980s, and of course I saw the eruption of Mount St. Helens from my front yard of my house, and I have never been back. I've never really been back to the Toutle River, and I've never really been back to explore around Mount St. Helens since the eruption. I kind of like to just remember the way it was. A lot of the pictures that I took, I donated to one of the museums there, I think in Cowlitz County. I'm not sure which one I sent them to, but I sent all my pictures from the area, fishing and geology pictures and hiking pictures, and told them they could have it for historical reasons. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this little story. Like I said, I'm telling stories, so some of them might be a little long. And so, if you're not interested in such things, well, just don't bother to watch it. And I don't care if you watch it or not. I don't care if you subscribe, and I don't care if you say you like it or don't like it. This is something I'm doing, and, I'm just going to continue to do it. Until then, we'll catch you next time.